this is going to move really quickly, so I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to introduce all the folks that we have here today. For Shure, we have Allison Lepek, the Senior Talent Acquisition Specialist, Jen Porter, the Talent Acquisition and Engagement Lead, Melanie Koskemp, Senior Project Manager, and Katie Freeney, the Product Management Team. And they're all going to talk to you about what it's like to work at Shure and how to best prepare yourself to get into their pipeline. And then after that, we're going to switch it over to Dolby and to Universal Audio, and I can introduce those folks later. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to the fine, wonderful people at Shure to talk to you about their company. Hi, Allison.
Hi, sorry, I'm
And I want to thank you all too. I forgot to do this because I'm trying to get you guys as much time as possible. Thank you all for doing this. We so appreciate you.
Thanks, Terry. All right, so thanks for that intro. So myself and Jen Porter, as Terry mentioned, we're part of the talent acquisition team. We're going to go over a quick company intro, give you a little bit of information about Shure, and then we will kick it off to Melanie and Katie to go over their career presentations, and then we'll move into that Q&A. So a little bit about Jen and I. We're part of the talent acquisition team. Our team has been responsible for planning and execution of recruiting strategy to support our growth, which has been pretty significant over the past, I'd say, 5 years or so. So we're continuing to support that with recruitment, but we also do a lot of other things outside of that. So we manage a big internship program, which we can talk about a little bit if you guys have questions. We facilitate trainings, plan events. We do a lot of things outside of recruiting. And then just a bit about our scope. So we're a global company. We have a global footprint. We have been around since 1925. So we've got a lot of history, a lot of evolutions over the years in terms of our business. And we're without a doubt going through one right now as well. We have manufacturing plants in Juarez, Mexico, one in Suzhou, China. There are over 30 locations around the world. We're sold in over 120 countries, and we have included in the locations, we have 5 engineering hubs. So those are global. We have one in Niles, which is our global corporate headquarters, one in Copenhagen, one in Edinburgh, one in Suzhou, China, and then our most recently added one is in Hyderabad, India. And then just a little bit about our vertical markets. So we currently support 3 different vertical markets. And so, most well known in the professional audio space. We also have musician and consumer products, as well as integrated systems. So sort of that corporate conferencing piece that you hear about. And then markets we focus on, this is pretty self-explanatory. So, we, market to a lot of different types of industries out there, and they're all kind of included here. So if I can get myself off of the audio, sorry guys, I wanted to kick it off to Melanie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melanie Koskemp. I'm a senior project manager here at Shure. Allison, if you want to swap the slide. Yes, that one. I've been at Shure for a long time, 19 years now. It's hard to believe, but true. And I have worked on all kinds of products. I've put pictures of a few to show you the wide variety down at the bottom there that I've been a part of, covering all 3 of those vertical categories. So I've been lucky to have a good mix of experiences at Shure. My background is in physics. I got a BA in physics and then realized it was a little too theoretical and kept going for a BS in electrical engineering. My background, I came from a musical family, so I was a classically trained musician. I took way too many piano lessons, or so I thought, and a lot of percussion as well through college. Band geeks are my people. So as mentioned, I've always liked math. That led me to physics, a physics degree in college, and I wanted to get more hands-on. I loved lab. So that led me to electrical engineering. And I found Shure at the career fair at college and realized that a lot of these engineering companies weren't super interesting to me, but that one with all the audio gear and the microphones seemed way cooler than the rest. So that made me start thinking about combining music and engineering as a career. So it was not something that I had dreamt of as a kid, but definitely fell in the right spot. Nowadays, I started at Shure as an audio hardware engineer. That is me back in 2001, probably with the very first prototype of what became SLX wireless at a PCB level there. Turned into a project manager, something that, again, I never thought I would do because it didn't seem fun as an engineer to have to be in charge and figure out all the admin stuff. But the point of the second picture is that as a project manager, you still get to be part of a team. You still get to troubleshoot issues and evaluate performance and have team wins and team losses and get really excited when that first audio passes on your new product. So it's been an enjoyable transition from engineer to project manager, and I do not regret it. So why Shure? The things that have kept me at Shure for 19 years are really the collaborative culture of the company. It's a private company. There's no high pressure demands quarterly to make decisions that may not be good in the long term. That leads to a strong focus on quality. We are more likely to stop and make something right before launching it because we don't have those public pressures on us, just our own high standards. Sure has a lot of band geeks, and so it felt like home to me. We take time to do a lot of outside of work activities, and especially in the summer in Chicago, and that's always fun to hang out with coworkers. So my advice to you, those of you who may be in school, trying to figure out how to get that first job. I'm not currently a hiring manager, but I have done that on occasion in the past and had a few interns. Number one, let your hobbies shine. If you are a musician, if you run sound, if you repair guitar pedals or build your own guitars, make sure that gets on your resume and you talk about it. Talk about your passions outside of work or maybe associated with work or what you want to do as a career. Be curious, be bold, ask questions. I was super shy as a kid and could have done a better job at being bold. So that is my call to you. Be better than I was about it. Just, asking questions, introducing yourself, asking someone, what their hardest challenges are at a job or what their most rewarding times are at a job. And the final one is find ways to get audio related experience on your resume. The resumes that stand out or have stood out to me are folks that don't spend their summers working at McDonald's. You might need to do that. You might need to have a paying job, but if you can find yourself some way to, run sound, churches or community groups are always looking for someone to show up and sit behind the soundboard on Sunday morning. I've seen, middle school plays, people running sound for middle school plays. It's just a matter of getting your hands on the products and understanding how they work from a customer. Will get you a long ways as an engineer and designing to meet customer needs. So those are my recommendations to you. I will pass it off to Katie Verini.
All right, thank you. Hi guys, I'm Katie Farini. A little bit about my background. I went to DePaul University and majored in sound recording technology. I'm now within the product management team at Shure as a senior product specialist, and I've been here for 5 years working on software products. So I actually started with drumline in high school and then went to classical percussion, kind of similar to what Melanie was saying, and studied sound recording technology in college at DePaul University in Chicago. I also interned at local music venues in Chicago, and then after I graduated from college, I went into the internship program at Shure, again within the product management team. And I would say that audio engineering, which I did a lot in college, was an ideal combination of art and science, and I would actually say the same for product management, which I somewhat stumbled into, but it is a really good blend of creativity, technology, and business. So I see parallels there. So a little bit about product management. The main job is really to uncover and prioritize customer problems. So I spend a lot of time talking to customers, like at trade shows, and you see in the right picture, talking to market development and sales and support about customer problems, and basically planning the software roadmap, because I work on software products for designing and monitoring our hardware, microphones, and processors. I also work really closely with the engineering and UX teams to that our software is valuable, usable, and feasible. Why Shure? Very similar to what Melanie said. I mean, there's so many people who have a passion for making great products, and there's a lot of encouragement for always learning more via many training opportunities, mentorships. And again, as Melanie said, there's a lot of musicians at Shure, so it's really fun. We do things like, we have a summer program called Eat to the Beat, where you can eat outside at lunch and watch Shure members form bands and put on performances during lunch, so that's really cool. A little bit of advice that I could think of, I think speaking up, again, being curious and being bold, as mentioned, is really important. I was really shy at the beginning of my internship, and I wish I spoke up more and asked more questions, so that's what I've learned. I think finding mentors and allies is really important. I've found, some people at Shure who are really great to talk to about their experiences, especially if they've worked there for a long time, or if they're a woman in audio who's, been there a long time. It's always really interesting to speak with them and find allies there. And then also just trust yourself and your skills, and trust your background, and always remain curious. And that's about it.
Great. I think we're in the Q&A part, right? I don't want to cut off Shure, but I'm happy to start moderating. Is there anything from the Shure team that you wanted to add before that?
I don't think so.
I think we're good.
Okay. Well, the first, everybody's really interested in internships. That's come up. And there was a specific intern question for Katie. How did interning help you establish a path into product managing?
Yeah, my internship was specifically, it was the product management internship. So I worked directly with product managers who'd been there several years, learned about talking to customers and writing charters for new products. And it went really smoothly into, learning all the different skills and talking to a bunch of people within the same program. And yeah, after that, I got hired full-time to be a marketing coordinator, which is in the product management group. And then after that, it went into product specialist, which is where you really start to get to managing products and talking with customers all the time.
I'm going to ask, are there, especially from folks on the hiring side, are there particular skill sets that you are looking for that would help somebody stand out?
I think I can, excuse me, speak a little bit to that one. I apologize. I think it's really going to depend on every single individual role. We do meet with all the hiring managers individually prior to kicking off searches. So for example, if you're an embedded software engineer or something like that, they might want specifically C++ experience. So yes, there is definitely specific characteristics and experience somebody would need for specific roles, depending on what it was. But more broadly, as a company, I think it's really just interest in audio, and having just a craving for quality and culture is really what we look for at Shure.
And here's a question about, thank you. What sorts of projects do interns work on? So what does an average day in an internship look like? Which again, it might be specific to the team they're on, but maybe if there's something general to answer, that would be great.
I can probably speak to that generally, but then, yeah, Melanie, if you have something to add too, you know, our internship program, we try to really integrate the interns into the real work that the teams are doing. So they're not, you know, they're not grabbing coffee or anything of that nature. So they're really sort of embedded into the day-to-day projects that the teams are working on. Like you said, it is, it depends on the team that they're on, the products and the projects that that particular team is working on, but they try to get fully integrated into that day-to-day.
Great.
I think one thing I'd like to add to that as well is that the projects that their interns are working on are really value add products to the organization. So it's not just some side projects that's not used again by the organization. If an intern, for example, needs to go back to school and the project is still being worked on, a full-time associate's going to take that up and continue on. And it's definitely something that the company uses long-term.
Yeah, one specific example, we had a DSP intern one summer that really helped us script testing on the audio testing on the product we were developing at the time, and wrote all kinds of, made us a whole bunch of easy buttons to do comparative testing between different DSP algorithms, and we still use it today. So it's types of things that engineers really want to do and could make their lives easier, but generally don't have time to until that intern shows up.
We have a question about, do they need to be enrolled in school to apply for an internship?
They do not need to be currently enrolled in school. We do have a requirement that you have to have 2 years of school completed. And that's really just so that you can kind of hit the floor running. Your first 2 years of school, you're usually getting some of your core curriculum out of the way. But because our interns are so embedded into the roles, they do need to have a little bit of that specific discipline coursework under their belt. But you don't have to be enrolled in school at that exact time. We actually have people that participate in our program that have already graduated or are grad students or pursuing PhDs, etc. So.
Great. Question here about the roles at Shure beyond, they're saying developer. So maybe just a generic overview of what the positions you maybe generally are looking for.
So that's pretty broad, but we do have, you know, sort of a consistent rolling openings across all of our divisions. So we, you know, there's product engineering. So there's the engineering and technology that goes into the products. There's, you know, sort of internal technology with our IT support. There's, you know, marketing, there's human resources. We have a really large operations organization, quality. So it's really broad in terms of the types, but you know, you can always check out our careers site too to see what might be available at any given time.
Just a perfect segue into the next question of how is the current climate and working remotely affecting these career paths, and is there anything that you're predicting in the future with your crystal ball?
That might be above my pay grade.
I think it's impacting us socially, if anything, just because Shure is so cross-functional. So while I'm in the HR department, I work very closely with so many different divisions within Shure. So I think that's a little bit of what I'm personally missing, but the climate overall has been great. We've got an awesome executive team, awesome leadership that's really been transparent with us about everything that's going on. And as individual teams, even those cross-functional teams, I know that people have been really supportive of trying to do just happy hours and virtual lunches and anything that we can to just keep things status quo for now.
So you guys are able to, like, some of the jobs are able to be done remotely at this point?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We are doing our best.
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time in meetings trying to figure out what we can and can't do for the next week.
Yeah.
Or who can do it for us in some different location.
Right. There's a question about diversity. Is Shure, do you consider yourself a diverse company, and I guess what your goals are in terms of diversity and inclusion?
Yeah, absolutely. We, as an organization, have really made an impact on trying, or an effort, I should say, on trying to offer everybody to be their authentic selves at Shure. It's something that's really important to us. We continue to grow and evolve and introduce new programs. More to come on that. We've got some things in the pipeline that I think the broader associate population internally and publicly will be excited to see. But yes, something that's definitely important to us. I should also mention that it's one of the number one advice that I usually give to either people that I'm interviewing or interns or early career associates is to be yourself, because you spend so much time at work that if you're adjusting who you are, that can be really exhausting. So, and then just because we're speaking on a women's forum and panel here right now, we have a female CEO and a female CIO from an internal technology perspective. So really great to see them both from a leadership perspective get involved in things for women in technology, and they do keynote speeches for different organizations, etc. So yeah, absolutely.
Great. The question here is, if you are in a role at Shure that doesn't necessarily work directly with the products, is there some way to have the opportunity to get hands-on experience with the products? I think I said that right.
Yes, Allison's wearing headphones right now. She doesn't work direct with the product. Yes, absolutely. Allison and I are both in HR, like I said, but all training opportunities across the Shure organization are open to any associates. So we have a lot of in-depth product opportunities where you can learn about the products and how they're made and how they're used. We've got Blue Ribbon team training, which is really around our product development process. Just lots of different things to get involved in, even when we're going through prototypes or preparing for trade shows. That's all. We're the internal associates are the guinea pigs for all that, so we get to test out a lot of that as well.
Yeah, I had a small beef a few months ago when it seemed everyone in the building was walking around with Aonic 50 headphones in the final beta listening test, but me. So we definitely get internal associates involved in product testing and product use throughout the development of the
Melanie,
product.
were you involved in the creation of said headphones and you didn't have said headphones?
No.
I wanted to dig.
I wasn't. I've been working on Microflex Advanced integrated systems products, conferencing microphones, networked conferencing microphones for the last few years. So I was slightly out of the loop, but I've been promised they will make it up to me as soon as I go back to the office.
There is another question, if you can elaborate on further technical training within the company to gain more technical experience. So it sounds like you kind of answered that, but anything else on that?
We do have a training and development team internally, and there's lots of different things in place that they offer. We have some on-demand offerings from a technology perspective. We have on-site, off-site. If there's ever a training that a team or an associate deems a value add, they can bring it to our training and development team, and they can definitely look into that or even create new content altogether. But we're very, very much dedicated to pursuing or to furthering the careers of our Shure associates internally.
Yeah, Samantha, one thing that I got really jazzed about when I was an audio engineer, because I had a basic electrical engineering degree, not a whole lot of audio classes in school. The AES conferences were amazing to attend. I don't know what their plans are for the next year, but the Audio Engineering Society has some great resources. And if you can get yourself to one of those conferences in the future, that's a great place to learn about audio. And then Terry and friends at WHAM are also posting great things. They posted one of my favorite NPR links the other day, all about how to listen, you know, and
Yes.
in production hints. I love that webpage. That was a great throwback.
I'd also recommend Googling the Shure Audio Institute, which is our internal training team that essentially teaches folks outside of the organization how to use our products and just be better at sound in general. So there's definitely a lot of learning opportunities from that are free to everybody.
I have another question here. I think we're already assuming they've landed the position and now they want to know how they would get promoted. What's the best way to get promoted at Shure?
That's a toughie.
I'm just relaying.
Yeah, I would say just, you know, generally speaking, we're a promote from within organization. We really support that, and we want to really support people with our training and development programs and get them ready to move up to that next step. So that is the goal. So it depends on the position that you're in and the division that you're in, and you know, what the business needs are. But I think kind of going back to Melanie and Katie's presentations, just, you know, kind of speaking up, talking about what you're interested in, you know, taking advantage of all the training and development opportunities that you have. And that's, you know, not just at Shure, but just in your career in general. You know, kind of it's up to you to voice that opinion and to kind of make it happen. But an organization like Shure, like I said, we really do support that kind of internal movement. So yeah, it just really depends on what area you're in, I would say.
I think in general, the answer is do your job plus a little bit more. Like, say yes to those extra things, or find time to do something that helps your department or helps someone else on your team.
And just to echo what Melanie just said, don't be afraid to say yes to or to try something new that's outside of your wheelhouse. You can, even if you're not growing vertically, you can grow horizontally. I had to get my words, my directions right there first, but there's definitely ways to expand your current role even, which would be a learning advantage.
Great. I have a question. Somebody's interested in doing microphone maintenance. Is that a pathway at the company, or is there any opportunities in that area?
Yeah, we have a service department. We actually have multiple service departments around the world, but there have definitely been service techs that have moved up in the company to various other positions.
Great. Somebody here is saying they did a Shure webinar last week, RE podcasting and mobile recording, and it was definitely a valuable experience. Just passing that on to you all.
Awesome.
Is there anything that you all want to wrap up with? Somebody, maybe this is a good wrap up question, some core values and principles at Shure.
Shure
Who's got it memorized?
Shure is a good corporate citizen, employer, and yeah, we're all about quality, collaboration. Those are really our core values. We want to put the best product forward with the best people, the best team. But we didn't talk about this, but being that good corporate citizen, we do a lot of volunteer opportunities too, just to stay involved in our local communities globally. So yeah, that speaks a little bit about who we are internally. And I guess my last advice before we go would be, you know, those are early in your career, even late in your career, mid-career, want to change your career, whatever. It's about networking. So reach out to us, connect with us on LinkedIn, keep an eye on our careers website. We'd love to keep in touch with you guys.
And I think at the end, we're going on the slideshow, we'll be putting a way for them to connect to you. But and I think that I missed a question a little while back there about if somebody does just apply online blind, is that even work, or do they need to already be networking with you in some capacity before doing that? I think that's a good question.
I would
It
say,
definitely works.
yeah, it definitely works. We, check those, those on the talent acquisition team, check those daily to see what's coming in. But especially for this audience, since we're, here and doing this, I would say absolutely reach out to Jen or I on LinkedIn or via email just to follow up. And it won't hurt anything. So it'll definitely keep it top of mind for us. And, we like doing these types of events, and, we want to stay connected and hopefully have something work out in the future. So feel free to reach out after you've applied, or even before if you have questions about the role or anything like that.
It looks like you're going to get a lot of internship applications because that question keeps popping up. So I think that's going to happen. I want to just say also, to add to your core values, that Shure has been a long-term supporter of women's audio mission, so we always appreciate that support. So I think that speaks and adds to your core values and community involvement. And I think they're putting in the chat, yeah, all the links that you need. So I don't think we need to do anything there. I want to thank you all for your time and giving people an inside look on career pathways at Shure and your company. And I hope that you all have a fabulous day. If there's anything else you want to add, feel free.
Yeah, I saw a note wondering when internship openings start. It's always shockingly early. So we should answer that question. It's like late summer, right? For the next year.
Early fall,
Early
yeah.
fall.
Yep. With the current climate, I don't know if that would change. It's kind of a question mark, but I would say start to keep an eye out September, early to mid-September timeframe.
Great. Well, I want to thank you all so much. You were very inspiring. We love to hear from you, and I hope we get to do this again.
Yeah, thank you very much
Thank
for the
you.
info.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are fantastic and inspiring.
Thank you. Thanks,
too.
Terry. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you. So we are shifting gears now to Dolby, which they are near and dear to our heart because they are not only our neighbor, but they are also long-term supporters of Women's Audio Mission, deeply involved in Women's Audio Mission. So I'm really excited to have them here today. It's a fantastic company. I am going to introduce, let's see, I'm on the wrong page. Okay, yes, we're at Dolby. So we have three folks here today from Dolby. We have Nina Solidum, the University Relations Specialist, Lisa Gutierrez, who's the Senior Manager of Business Operations, but in my mind, more importantly, a board member of Women's Audio Mission. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I just did. And Victoria Hinks, a recruiting manager. And super excited to turn this over to them so that you can learn more about Dolby and the career pathways there. And I think Nina's going to take over.
Yes, thank you so much, Terry. Here, let me share my screen. Okay, can everyone see what I am seeing?
I can see it, yes.
Okay,
So that means everyone can.
great. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining. So again, we are here with Dolby Laboratories. Wanted to, start out with a little bit about who we are. Okay, so just a little bit about Dolby and again, some company info. Dolby has been around for 50 plus years at this point. So it is very much, as we like to think, an older tech company. And the great thing about Dolby is, as you all know, very familiar with the audio side, but Dolby has continued to really be that intersection of art and science and entertainment and tech. And so for whatever reason, we have been able to innovate decade after decade and outlast companies like, Sears and and Napster and AOL and all of those things. And that's just in part due of what our business is and who we are as a company. And so Dolby is a global company. And for being a global company, we only have about 2,100 plus employees. So super, super teeny in that sense, but again, have that really grand and big reach. Again, one of our biggest things and what we value and our mission is just to give the most immersive experience possible. So I know most of you are probably familiar with Dolby Atmos, which again is our spatial audio technology, right? You can play sound in a three-dimensional space. And then on the flip side, we have Dolby Vision, which is our state-of-the-art high dynamic range imaging technology. And, you know, combining those two, as you've seen, well, not recently because of the current climate, but you know, we combine those two technologies and you get a Dolby Cinema. And so if you have not seen a film in a Dolby Cinema, I highly encourage you to do so once things start to open up again, because that's really, I think, by far one of the best ways to experience a film. And then we have a couple of other technologies, Dolby Voice and Dolby On. So Dolby Voice is our essentially our telecommunication technology. So we have a partnership with Blue Jeans that allows us to really have a better video conferencing experience. It's kind of hard to explain without when you don't have the technology, when you're not necessarily experiencing the technology, but essentially like if someone were to be on if they're commuting and they're on a conference call, the people on the other end won't necessarily hear the background noise. So that comes from our Atmos technology. And then lastly, we have Dolby On, which is one of our newest products. And essentially it's taking Atmos and Vision and giving it to basically any consumer. So you can kind of download the app now. So if you are a musician or if you stream live or anything like that, you can use our technology to help enhance that experience. Again, and the best thing about us is, with our business, we license our technology, which is why if you, let's say, walk into Target right now, you may see a Dolby or you'll see a Samsung, I don't know, 4K television enabled with Dolby Vision, or you'll see a Vizio soundbar enabled with Dolby Atmos. So again, we license our technology to all of our partners and our clients. And so, yeah, so that's just a little bit about the company. And now we'll kind of switch it over. I'll have everyone introduce themselves and a little bit about their background.
Hi, so I'm Lisa Gutierrez. I am a senior manager with the Strategic Initiatives team at Dolby. And as Terry mentioned, I'm also one of the newest members of the WAM board. I think if there's one thing that you should take away from today, it's that career paths are rarely a straight line. I can say for experience that my path to Dolby and WAM was anything but a straight line. Literally my first job out of college, I sat on a filing cabinet with a laptop and tried to hack into online exams. Twists and turns happen, and don't be dissuaded when those happen to you, because they will happen. But look at them as opportunities to grow and harvest bits and pieces. Because when Dolby finally called me, actually it was Victoria, who's also in this presentation, who was the one who called me for Dolby. And the first thing I thought is like, why is Dolby calling me? Why would they want me? I don't know anything about codecs. But all of these twists and turns that I'd taken in my career path, I was able to take little nuggets with me. And when I put them all together, it was exactly what Dolby needed. So look at all these bumps in your career path as opportunities that are steering you to the right path, and that eventually you'll get where you need to be. So at Dolby, as part of strategic initiatives, what I get to do is a lot of the really exciting work with the new efforts that Dolby's trying. So on the previous slide, I worked on several of those projects. Dolby Voice, most recently Dolby On, which is an app that we just made global, worldwide for musicians, because what we found is with the situation in place, that musicians were turning to online streaming and online venues in order to fulfill their livelihoods. And so Dolby On provides the magic of Dolby processing with just your phone. And so we're really excited about that. And I think that I'll pass the mic to Victoria now.
Hi, I'm Victoria Hinks, and I am a recruiting manager at Dolby. And that's right, it kind of all comes full circle. I spoke with Lisa. I've been with Dolby since 2012, and I reached out to Lisa. She's got an amazing background, and so it's kind of exciting to be here with her doing this. So yeah, I started a long time ago, and as Nina said, we're 2,100 plus people. The brand is really bigger than the company. So the teams are small, the work is really meaningful, and I've done everything, mostly tech, but product management, project managers across all groups, cinema, the audio, advanced audio groups, and CEG. So we have our fingers in a lot of different pies at Dolby. Like wherever there's an amazing entertainment experience to be had, Dolby is the one to bring that to you. So with audio and video now with Dolby Vision and lots of different things, as Lisa mentioned, with the Dolby On and the cloud initiatives that we're working on. So we are working on a lot of cool things, and it's a great place to recruit for. And it's not just audio. It's having that passion for audio, but working across a lot of different groups.
Okay, cool. And then lastly, me. So again, my name is Nina Solidum, and essentially what my role is at Dolby is I help manage or recruit and manage for our internship program. So we just branded our internship program Dolby U. And so I'll talk a little bit about that later. But in terms of my background, again, to Lisa's point, you kind of zigzag when it comes to finding a job and finding something that you're passionate about and things that you like. And so for me, I started out my career at PlayStation doing HR work there. And then I shifted to Pixar Animation Studios, where I was there for a couple years doing recruiting and university relations work. And so for me, again, it was a very interesting transition because those two companies were very content driven. And so now that I'm at Dolby, and I've been at Dolby for almost 2 years now, now I'm learning more about the technology behind entertainment and what that actually means. And so again, hopefully the things that you can take away from our presentation today is that there's so much more opportunities than you really know. There's literally a job for almost everything. But yeah, okay, so with that said, let's shift gears to here. I'm trying to change the slide. Okay. Okay, here you go. Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit again about like the skills that we look for. So Lisa, if you wanted to go first.
Absolutely. So obviously with Dolby, passion for audio, music, and entertainment is key. With a theater, a jam studio, multiple mixing labs, we like to say that people get paid to do their hobbies here at Dolby. And that really, you see it when you're walking through the hallways, when we're in the office, that people really love what they do. And we also like to say that we live at the intersection of art and science. And so this is, when you're talking about STEM careers, we like to talk about STEAM, and that's that insertion of art into that science and the technology, and that's where the magic happens. And so while I'm not a musician, or I wouldn't claim to be one, I'm an artist and a dancer, and I'm also a technical program manager. And so it's really about bringing both of those sides of your left brain and your right brain together. And you see that a lot with people at Dolby, is people have a lot of side hobbies. And so we like to know about those because they really help make what we build relevant to everyone.
And sort of piggybacking and segueing on what Lisa just said, talking about like how Dolby values breadth, and she is a perfect example of that. Having the technical background and like all the skills, that's sort of the ticket to the dance. But then we love all of the other things. We are filmmakers and musicians and gamers and people who are passionate about entertainment experiences. Our founder, Ray Dolby, said, a famous quote of his is, hire a good person without getting bogged down in a specific job definition, and then restructure the job when you find out what skills he or she really has. And we kind of live by that. Like, we try to hire great, smart people with intellectual curiosity and like technical depth and breadth. And so we look for a strong technical background, but maybe in some real-time embedded, maybe some hardware, software, it's moving toward that as well. So it's a combination of a lot of different things, because like now is a perfect example. We're pivoting certain things and working on new things. We want people who can stay agile and learn new things if we need to like put resources into a different group. Like, this is a little bit more of our focus right now. So we want people who can learn quickly and who have a love of learning and who aren't afraid of that and who can ramp up. So that's really important. As far as like the soft skills we were talking about, collaboration and communication is so important. And, you know, we have our core values, you know, integrity, and, you know, watching how the company has navigated this situation with integrity, putting people first, you know, collaboration, intellectual curiosity, humility. We want people who, you know, the intellectual horsepower we have at Dolby is huge, but people are humble, not arrogant. So all of those things are really important. So it doesn't matter how strong you are technically, if you can't work well with others, or if you're a little bit arrogant, like that's, you know, that's probably not a great Dolby fit. So I find that like everyone's stronger together. So collaborating and communicating is super important.
Yeah, and to add to that too, on the collaboration and communication part, I know even for us, now that we're all virtual at this point, I feel like collaboration's almost heightened, or it became better because you're forced now. Like, we are forced to go on these video conference calls, and you know, but at the same time, we also know that there is a delicate balance between work and just living your life, right? And we're now all in the same situation where you're sheltered in place, and so your workspace has now become the space that, you know, you work out in or go to the gym, and now you're cooking and cleaning, and this is also the place that you rest. So, you know, again, finding that balance, but also having a team that supports that. And I think that's goes to the core of Dolby is the support that we all give each other, especially during this time. But yeah, so I guess overall, that's just some of the few skills I think that, you know, we look for. But ultimately, I think, to highlight again, it's just that passion. It really, really is just that passion. And it doesn't necessarily need to be audio or music or entertainment too, but just passion for something. I know everyone at Dolby does something on the side, like, or whether it is they're in a band, whether it is they're a DJ, or they do aerial silks, whatever it may be, making jam. Somebody at Dolby is doing something. So, and I think again, that passion for whatever you're doing is just exudes in your work. But okay, cool. Let's shift. And then of course, if anyone has any questions on this too, feel free to put it in the chat, and then we can answer during Q&A. But let's switch the slide here. Okay, cool. So, so overall, any advice when you kind of like, I guess you're applying, or if you're looking into Dolby? Number one, for sure, please know who Dolby is. I cannot tell you how many times I have been on a call, and Lisa and Victoria are laughing too, because this happens, where they go, oh, something, Adobe. And I'm like, no, I'm with Dolby Laboratories. So again, just knowing who Dolby is, knowing who we are, our values, our company, or just even if you don't know everything about Dolby, you have come across us somehow, some way, whether it's at the end of the credits on a film, or the little logo you see on whatever consumer product you have, just knowing who we are. And then if you are applying for our roles or our jobs, attention to detail in your application, I think, is very, very key. Again, just paying attention to the company that you're applying for. So if you're attaching your cover letter, again, making sure it's addressed to Dolby, but also, you know, just having your resume lined up, crisp and clean, because the thing with, and I can, you know, speaking on like recruiting's half, we look at every resume, we look at every application, and sometimes it comes down to the attention to detail part, where if we're looking for someone who, let's just say, I don't know, let's use a non-engineering, but like marketing, for example, if you have a portfolio, the attention to detail part, like make sure you have your password that's attached to it, because then if, you know, if we're going in and we're trying to see your work and we can't access it, then that's that. So again, just attention to details is very key. And then maybe I'll pass it to Lisa or Victoria.
I'm sure I'll jump in here. And this, I think this is just reiterating what I said earlier. It's just, we like to think that, you know, people get paid to do their hobbies at Dolby. And so you may not realize it, but a lot of the hobbies that you may be resistant to putting on your resume may actually be relevant. And, you know, I've looked at candidates that have come into my group before, and because, you know, they were previously with a band, that's completely relevant for us in Dolby On. Or I'm trying to think of other, I mean, we've had all kinds of different hobbies that have popped up, and it's like, oh, you understand the audience that we're talking to. You know, you've dealt with the pain, you've dealt with the problem, so you're going to be able to speak to it for us. So always, you know, list those things, because there may be a serendipitous event there for you. And same thing, I said this earlier, is applying for jobs isn't linear. You may have an idea, concept in your head of the position you want, and what it looks like. And you may be thrown surprises, and you'll find that your dream job actually looks way different than you ever thought. And, you know, take the advice, take the constructive criticism you get from people along the way. I ended up at Dolby, honestly, because I had a VP at Microsoft who pulled me out of a job that I thought I loved. And he said, you know, I'm going to put you over here. You're going to be fabulous at this. And I literally sat on the bathroom floor crying because he had pulled me out of my dream job and put me into this other thing that I thought was scrubbing toilets. And he was right. It was a perfect fit for me. It was something that I've excelled at. And that background in release management and strategic thinking brought me to Dolby. So it's that serendipitous events for you, and listening to the constructive feedback. Because sometimes people know you better than you know yourself, and they'll see your talents.
Lisa's absolutely right. Like, just piggybacking on what she was saying, on the resumes, like what other companies might not be interested in, like your hobbies and interests, Dolby cares. That's going to be that secret sauce, that extra little, like, you know, when you're looking at two candidates and they have the exact same backgrounds, but someone has made a short film or a documentary, or somebody plays classical guitar or piano or is in a band, like those are going to be the little things that kind of tip it over the edge. So absolutely put those things on. And she's right. Applying for jobs is not linear. Like, there are so many different roles. So if there's, you know, look widely inside Dolby, not just focusing on one thing. So yeah, we love, and I do read cover letters. So if it's for a specific job, just making it generic, don't bother doing a cover letter if it's just going to be generic. But if you speak to, like, you know, I've been playing piano since I was 5, and summers I spend doing the audio for theatrical productions or something, those are the things that are going to put you ahead of the pack. And I do read them all, and I do read every resume that comes in.
Okay, cool. So I guess that's pretty much what we have to say. Well, I guess we can turn, oh, wait, there you go. Oh, there you go. We can turn to Q&A.
Great. That was awesome, you guys.
Thanks, Terry.
with the first questions that have come up are around the internship program, and are you still eligible for an internship if you already graduated from college?
So for our internship program, if you have graduated from school, you are eligible 6 months after graduation. So for example, if let's just say you're graduating this summer, you are eligible for our fall internships. Or let's say you graduated in winter, December, you would still be eligible for the next year for summer internships, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. I'm going to ask this question just because when I've talked about careers at Dolby, I don't think everyone has the same understanding that you all have in terms of what you do there, right? So it might be good if you could kind of just give the general buckets of types of career paths at Dolby, because I don't know that they all know. Like, I know there's, of course there's software engineering and there's hardware engineering and there, marketing, and if just the general buckets I think might be helpful so they could see where their skills align.
Yeah, so we do look for software engineers. Again, we like people with breadth, so people who have some software, anything combined, like software, a little bit of systems, a little bit of hardware, real-time embedded, like those are the candidates we really, really like. Right now, we're looking for cloud engineers and people with media APIs and full stack engineers. So like that's something that's new for Dolby. We look for product managers. We look for program managers. We look for marketing people as well. We look for researchers, to the people who dream up the magic like Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision, so heavy on the research side. But for the engineering and the technical talent, like it's really like real-time embedded, C and C++, Python is huge right now. In QA, like automation is important. So those are the things generally that we look for. There's not a ton on the mixing side. We have some stuff like that, but the things that are right now we're focusing on is that area. Lisa, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think some other things that people don't really think about in terms of Dolby are, the design aspects. We have industrial designers that, spend hours trying to come up with the best shaped, sound absorbent, sound reflectant theater seats. And those are the kinds of things, people who go through all of the different designs and textures in the headphones that Victoria's wearing. So there's lots of different ways that you can plug in besides just, writing code. We have a big push on research. That's I think a significant investment in Dolby is research, and that runs the gamut from audio to video. A lot of people forget that Dolby's video also, and it's also voice communications. So there's lots of different hats, and we do shift around a lot. I'm working on probably 3 or 4 different aspects at Dolby right now, just because they'll put you where they need you. And keep your opportunities open and be prepared to learn.
Yeah, and I think something, to talk about like career paths, it's hard because sometimes with Dolby, again, we're very unique in what we do because, again, we license our technology to our clients and our customers. And so within that, there's so much that can go on. So even in research, you don't necessarily need to be an engineer. So there's a job that can revolve around content creation and preparation, which basically means gathering up, let's just say we're talking about Atmos. And, again, like to Victoria's point, we're looking at the cloud. So when we're doing testing and we're looking at different technologies in content creation and preparation, this person is looking to basically gather a lot of audio content for our researchers to use when they're coming up with X, Y, and Z technology. So you don't necessarily need to have an engineering background, but yet that position falls under research and development. So there's just so much more. And honestly, the best way to keep up is just looking at our career page, because Dolby moves in where our business needs are. So again, big focus is on cloud right now. And as you know, we're doing all of this remote work too. Telecommunication is also really high, high in demand. So again, we move with the demand of the industry. And then, but we're also innovating on top of that, right? We're also trying to think of what's going to be the next best thing,
And
Victoria?
one thing I'll say on what just the through line, like what to Nina's point, I think the common thread and through line and why this is so relevant for WHAM is that the number one thing I think just comes back to your passion for audio. So like if you have that passion, like there will be a job for you somewhere. It's having that underlying passion for audio or video. Again, Dolby Vision is there as well. So if you have that, there's a way to parlay that into some job. There are jobs at Dolby for you. So like everybody who's here today already ticked that box because you're here. So that's the most important thing really. And then it's figuring out a job because, and what Lisa was saying, the industrial designers, there are so many different jobs here at Dolby. So I think the core thing, the main through line is the passion for audio.
I mean, just look at Poppy Crum. I mean, she's a neuroscientist. So there's,
Right.
there's a whole bioscience input into this because we're talking about people's perceptions. And so you have to know the human body and how we perceive sound and vision. So those are great inputs also. So if you've got the passion for audio, like Victoria said, there's so many different ways that you can apply that.
And wanted to add one more thing about just industrial design, but there's also experiential design. So even, Lisa, I'm looking at your background right now. So that's our Dolby Soho, which is currently closed, but that's in New York. And again, it's, I know Victoria's been there too, but essentially it's a different way to experience our technology. And so behind Lisa there, there is someone who has to come up with those designs and come up with the marketing and the campaign for that as well. So that's not something that's necessarily you would first think of when it comes to, I guess you could say, marketing. But so again, there's just so many different pathways and different career jobs. Again, I can't stress this enough, is just really keeping up with our career site and the jobs there too. But yeah, Terry, I know that was kind of like a long-winded answer from the three of us. So
No, that's helpful. I want to get to this one question because I'm interested in this as well because I've been meaning to talk to you about this. There's folks that want to get Dolby Atmos certification and experience, and they're just wondering where they might be able to get that, and if that's something that's happening with Dolby U or.
So that's not with Dolby U. Dolby U is just for our internships. But if you did want to get Dolby certified, there is a process and an application process you need to go through. So it is on our website, I believe, and I think it's like towards the bottom of the regular Dolby career page. But there's one that says like getting licensed, and then there's step-by-step instructions on like, how you can, I guess, obtain or become a partner with our technology.
And Terry, we can send you a link.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I probably didn't. I think I was more, anyway, we'll talk. That's a whole nother conversation.
Okay. Okay.
Wait, I'm in a career panel. So, never mind. That speaks to how supportive Dolby is that if I ever have a question, I just call them up and somebody gives me an answer and I forgot that I'm now not, I'm in a panel. Okay, so of course, folks are asking about working remotely. I know you don't have a crystal ball, but I think, are you all able to work remotely? Is that something in your future? Anything that you can speak to that? Because I think there's folks that are joining us globally that might want to know that.
Yeah, I can say, just personally, it's been a pretty easy shift for myself and my team to switch to working remotely. And actually our specific team isn't planning to come back anytime soon because we found that the 3 hours we're getting back from not commuting, we're able to apply that into other aspects from like, practicing with our band to having work-life balance to, being able to spend more effort into our hobbies at work. I think some of the people that work in labs may be struggling a little bit more, and really just depends on what your position is. But I think what we're looking at is the Dolby's technologies do support collaboration. So we are trying to like dog food our own technology. Like I said, we released Dolby On for the entire point of musicians working from home. Same thing with the Dolby Voice. It's about collaboration. So, you know, we build the technology to support that. So we want to enable those scenarios also.
Yeah, and we do use our own technology. Blue Jeans is something that we use every day. And so that's, you know, and as people are working more remotely, you know, these technologies are going to become increasingly important with telemedicine and everything. So I feel like we've been able to, you know, I don't think we will be going back anytime very soon. And we had a pilot program in HR of 6 months ago, before this ever happened, working from anywhere. So we had been already trying this. And so it felt kind of natural when this happened, and Dolby was really ahead of the curve, was starting to stay at home and work from home. And we've been able to do it pretty effectively, and we're still very productive. And like Nina was saying, it's we've been forced to collaborate, and even more, we have to be even more collaborative, and it works, and it's been working. And the onboarding, we've been hiring. We are hiring for certain roles, and we have been onboarding people virtually. It has worked amazingly well with very few glitches. And it's, you know, this is the era that we're in, and so I feel like we're pretty prepared for this. So I think moving forward, we've been told, will there be more remote work? And the answer is yes, for certain roles. As Lisa said, the people in the labs and some of the mechanical engineers working with 3D printers and things like that, that will be a little bit trickier, and it'll be more case by case, but we are more open to the idea of remote work.
Great. I could ask more questions. I just want to make sure if anybody, I have about, you know, a few more minutes here, if somebody has any other questions, or if Team Dolby wants to add anything, now would be the time.
I think something that that's not necessarily public is what I love most about Dolby is we work on a 980 schedule. So Lisa and Victoria are like, yes. So for those who don't know what that is, it means we work 80 hours in 9 days. So essentially we get every other Friday off. So, you know, and then this, again, just attests to how much Dolby cares about their employees, and again, work-life balance, right? So the way that the schedule kind of works is week 1, we'll work Monday through Thursday for 9 hours, and then on that Friday, 8 hours. And then week 2, Monday through Thursday, 9 hours, and then we, again, get that Friday off. And, you know, it's, again, about that work-life balance. We understand that everybody has a life outside of work. And so, you know, we do need that extra time to recuperate and recalibrate. And we also recognize, you know, that people, you know, sometimes you can't get those appointments on the weekends. So people use those off Fridays. Sometimes people use the off Friday to take a, you know, 3-day vacation and go travel somewhere. You know, it just really depends. But I do think that's a really big part of our culture is Dolby just being supportive of their employees. But yeah.
And we've been doing that for a long time. A lot of companies are starting to do that now, but Dolby's been doing that for a long time. So it's great. You know, it says on our website, you know, a little tagline, we're not going to give you free dinner. We want you to be free for dinner. Like, we really value work-life balance. And so whether it's spending time with your kids, going to doctor's appointments, touring with your band, you know, doing your side projects, we really value that.
Well, I can say from partnering with Dolby for, I don't know, the last decade, some facts that maybe help to show the community engagement aspect. And I do think this goes all the way back to Ray. I'm lucky that I'm old enough to have met Ray in person. So I'm highly inspired by him in so many ways, because I'm an electrical engineer. So I don't know, I have a deep connection somehow to Ray. But Dolby has supported our Girls on the Mic program for the last decade in a very big way, and are also supported purchasing our studios. as well as hosting our fundraising events. So it's so they put their money where their mouth is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And just a lovely partner. And having spent a lot of time at your headquarters, you know, it made me want to work there instantly. When I walked in, I was like, oh man, did I leave Wham?
And we have a bookable jam room that you can book just like a conference room, and it's a piano and drums and bass guitar, everything, and you hear people down there playing. It's so cool. It's great.
So fabulous. Well, I mean, we did our fundraising event there in your cinema with Sheila E. It was like
I was there for that one.
So many wonderful things about this company. We just can't say enough and how appreciative we are of your support. And I just think that speaks volumes to, you know, being a place where people would want to work and stay there and make that their home.
I have to say, I had my first all-female meeting ever in a 20-year career at Dolby. So
that's awesome. We put a priority on hiring female engineers. That's particularly a bee in my bonnet. You know, we're big with girls who code and women who code.
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter who's just graduating from high school, who's a computer science major, and who's an engineering kid. And Dolby's been very supportive. She's come to the Girls Who Code events. Dolby has really, you know, it's my personal mission. I want to see more female engineers in companies like this. And so it's my personal mission to bring more female engineering talent to Dolby. So anyone who's on this chat, feel free to reach out to me, link in with me, send me an email, say hello. We want you.
Well, I so appreciate all of you and the time you took and the care you took in answering all the questions and presenting all that information. It's going to go a long way. So thank you. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, of course. And then one last thing. So if anyone has any questions, again, you can feel free to link in with us. But if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to University Recruiting at dolby.com. You know, that's kind of like the best way to kind of get in touch with us directly. But yeah.
And I'll put that up on the slide at the end for everybody.
That's great.
So
thank you.
Dolby.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody stay safe. Have a great rest of your day.
I think we are now shifting over to the fabulous Universal Audio folks. Hopefully you're in the house. We have also a long relationship with Universal Audio, who has supported us for a long time as well, especially our conferences. We use all of their plugins pretty constantly in our studios and our classrooms. So we're really excited to have them with us here today, talking about another, I'm telling you, you guys were giving you like the cream of the crop companies here. These are the places that you want to work for sure. So I'm going to be turning it over to Laura Boland, who's the staffing manager, and Alan Timms, the VP of engineering, I think, but there were other people for.
Yeah, I'm ready for you.
I have two on my slide, but I was like, there were more earlier.
Yeah. No, they're still with us, I promise.
Laura's going to take care of that. So I'm going to turn it over to the fine folks at Universal Audio.
Well, thank you guys so much. I am going to try to get us ready for the slide deck. So let me give this a shot. We were playing around with this earlier.
We're here for you. We're here for you.
Fantastic. So. Okay, woohoo! That was actually easier than this morning. So before we dive in, Terry, the team at WHAM, thank you guys so much. I mean, this morning has been amazing. I've been eavesdropping on all the presentations, and one thing that I wanted to highlight is you're gonna hear a lot of themes that, you know, Shure and Dolby have already introduced, but we're also very much in that same genre of looking for people like you guys to join us. So what I wanted to do was start off really quickly with a reminder that we would love to have you guys adding the questions to the chat room. So please keep up with that. And sorry, I'm having a hard time. There we go. Okay. Sorry, guys. So I wanted to start off with a couple introductions. And before I dive into who I am and my involvement in today's discussion, we have a couple extra people that we thought would be really powerful to have on standby. So I did want to introduce their names and the areas of expertise that they'll be able to address as we get into Q&A. Jill Upal is our director in charge of human resources. Mandy Whiting-Gerstel, she has been amazing. She's done so many different jobs at Universal Audio. I kind of just lumped her into the category of marketing in case any of you have questions, and we'll get into a little bit nitty-gritty about what marketing really means to Universal Audio. And then we also have Liz Talley on the call as well, and she's one of our extraordinary project and event managers. So I wanted to introduce myself though before we go too deep into conversation. My name is Laura Boland. I'm the staffing manager at Universal Audio. I joined Universal Audio in January of 2019. So I've been with the company now for about 1.5 years. I have had the opportunity to work with some of the world's most recognized brands, companies like Apple and Facebook. And the reason why I wanted to highlight those two specific elements of my background is because having 20 years of experience doing recruiting and having joined Universal Audio most recently, there's some things that make working at UA really exceptional. And unfortunately, many times you don't get to experience that until you either interview or join the company. But on top of the incredible products that we bring to market in the way of software plugins and audio interface hardware, something that we experience every single day in the hallways of Universal Audio is the true belief in our employees. And I'm one of the fortunate ones that I get to work with so many different people across the company, top down, bottom up. One thing that everyone has always been in agreement about is if it wasn't for the brilliance and the dedication and passion of our employees, Universal Audio would not be successful today. So that is something that we live and breathe every day. And I'm extraordinarily proud of that and want to make sure that you all know that we really do recognize and value the employees that work for us. I also wanted to take a moment to introduce Alan Timms to all of you as well. He's our Vice President of Engineering. And as you can see from this slide, he brings a tremendous amount of engineering leadership experience to Universal Audio. I specifically wanted to introduce him though to you because this is your chance to geek out. This is your chance to get really granular into technical or feedback on our products or questions about what it is that we're working on. And we have Alan on standby to participate in the Q&A. So, this is your opportunity to go really deep. So feel free to throw those type of questions into the mix as well. Everything at Universal Audio is based on collaboration. We don't do anything in a silo, and this presentation is a perfect example of that. I've been partnering for weeks with Jill and Mandy and Liz and Alan to bring together this content. And unanimously, one thing that we realized is nobody tells the story better than our own CEO and founder, Bill Putnam Jr. So we wanted to take a moment and let you hear directly from him.
Well, it's almost like there's no end to what music is. I mean, it's an artistic expression going back to when humans used to bang on logs and howl at the moon. It captures the very essence of who we are, who we want to be, and that's a source of endless fascination to me. My dad started UA in the late 50s. It was motivated by the needs he saw in his own studio, and there wasn't equipment out there. We make gear inspired by the needs of the musician, but I found that many musicians get inspired by the gear itself. The gear that we've made over the years has gone beyond just documenting performances to shaping the very sounds of records, and it's been used on some of the best records ever made. We've studied classic gear from companies like Neve, Manley, API, Ampex, Studer, and Fender to get to the soul of what makes it all tick. We'll do whatever it takes to get the quality that we demand. It's not just about approximating things with zeros and ones. It's about building digital gear that sweats and breathes analog, just like the original articles. With Apollo interfaces and UAD hardware, you've got access to the best recording gear ever made, either on your desktop or in your rack. So there's really no reason for that record to stay trapped in your head. At Universal Audio, we haven't taken the easy road. We believe that music is more than a sequence of captured notes. We want all of the sound, because that's where the music is.
So every time that I hear Bill talk, I get chills. He is probably one of the most humble and down-to-earth CEOs I've ever had the pleasure of working directly with. And I'm just really excited they got a chance to hear a little bit more about UA from him specifically. We have been very fortunate. We have spent the last 6 decades celebrating innovative achievement. And we were originally founded by Bill Putnam Sr., a recording pioneer, back in 1958. And then we got refounded by Bill Putnam Jr., who you just heard from, in 1999. To this day, we pride ourselves on that ability to merge analog heritage with groundbreaking digital design. Today, we're headquartered in a little town called Scotts Valley, which is in Northern California. But we're very proud to let you know that we do have satellite offices as well as remote employees located globally as well. Today, we're made up of approximately 220 employees. So still a very small and intimate company. And we are definitely committed to growing and hiring. One of the stats that I learned about when I joined Universal Audio that was really a wow moment for me, again, going back to 20 years of recruiting experience for some amazing company cultures, is that over 20% of our employees have actually been with the company for more than 10 years of service. And I joined the company literally just 17 months ago, and I've already had the absolute fortune to help celebrate 3 of our employees' 20-year anniversaries. So when people come to Universal Audio, they come with their own goals in mind, functionally, technically, career-wise. But we've been able to keep them engaged, keep them challenged. Like I said earlier, it's a collaborative effort of very large cross-functional teams that bring the innovation forward, and people actually build careers with us. So I'm extraordinarily proud of that. And it makes representing Universal Audio to individuals like yourself just such an incredible thing for me in my career. So what is it really like to work at UA? We wanted to take a moment to just kind of dive into, the behind the scenes look. We're definitely balanced on 3 pillars of excellence within the halls of UA: craftsmanship, creativity, and learning. Craftsmanship for us is really about ideating and innovating products and getting them into the hands of our end users that not only surprise but delight the end user community. Creativity for us is really a commitment to innovation and ideation. And learning is also a couple different facets. It's about giving the opportunity to our employees to actually continue to grow within their careers, both linearly as well as going up into more responsibilities. It's also, though, about taking on the challenges that, and many times even to us, feel impossible, but really saying we want to join into this adjacent market, or we want to take this product category to a whole nother user experience level. We also pride ourselves on being extremely passionate about music, audio, and sound, something you've heard throughout this morning. The reason why I wanted to highlight that, though, is when we talk about being customer-centric or customer-focused, one of the reasons that we're able to go really deep into product design, development, innovation is because many of our employees are musicians. They may be an instrumentalist, they may be a vocalist, they may be a part of a band or many bands. Many have joined us from industries where they grew up as audio engineers or audio and live event producers. Many of them are DJs even to this day. So we're actually able to really deeply empathize with our customers. Not only do we many times know what they want, many times we can guess what they need. We also know how to go about wowing them. And part of it is because we are the end customer. And over the decades, we've also been so fortunate as a company to be able to hire some of the most epic talent that the world of pro audio has ever known. As somebody that's considering applying to Universal Audio and or joining us, the reason why this statement is so powerful is because these become your mentors. They become your teachers. They're able to actually work with you and collaborate with you and give you advice. But what's also really exceptional that you don't really know until you join is that they want to learn from you. They want to hear your thoughts. They want you to add your value and influence them to think differently, because that's really what's going to drive the future and the innovation in the world of pro audio. One other thing that is very wonderful about working with Universal Audio is that we celebrate music all of the time. When the day comes to a close, many of our employees, similar to what they were sharing with Dolby, we have a studio on site at Universal Audio and people will get together and just jam. We also love inviting local artists to come to Universal Audio to perform for our employees. It's a great chance for the employees to be able to take a break, get together, mingle, socialize, and consume the music, and sometimes hear our own products being utilized to just give us that full experience. And may go without saying, I know for me it was still a wow factor. I had the pleasure of attending my first holiday party with Universal Audio, and the talent that's in our halls from a music perspective is just awe-inspiring. So we truly have, hands down, some of the best holiday parties ever. So what I wanted to do at this point was direct the conversation more to you guys. We're here for you today. And we definitely, like most companies that are producing hardware and software solutions, will look for engineering talent. I'm going to refer in this presentation to this as more traditional engineering, but if you're someone who is embarking on starting your career in computer science, or you have been passionate about electrical engineering or mechanical engineering, information technology, we definitely have opportunities within the halls of UA for people with your interests. If you're in your career and you're trying to take these skills to a whole new heightened level, we also would love to stay in touch with you and screen you into the process. But for so many of the people who have joined Universal Audio, again, going back to a lot of the themes you've heard, it's a passion for audio, it's a passion for music, it's a passion for the pro audio industry as a whole. That really is what we're looking for in what makes you unique. And there's a whole laundry list of opportunities in the halls of UA that you may want to explore and be considered for. An example is probably, I think even either they're the exact same or they're a little bit larger than our engineering team, is our marketing team. Our marketing team is comprised of so many areas of responsibility that have had such an impact on the success of Universal Audio. So if you're interested in things like technical marketing or video production, being a part of our artist relations team, getting into social media, if you have dabbled in graphic and web design, marketing may be the perfect organization for you to explore and to learn more about and potentially apply to. Another area where we do a lot of remote hiring as well as international hiring is comprised of things like our customer support organization, our sales team. We also have a particular role that we define as product specialists, and that's really our UA brand ambassadors. And all of these individuals add so much immense value to the day in the life of what Universal Audio needs to accomplish as a company. The customer support team, they are global. In many cases, we do ask them, if we don't have an office presence in that part of the world, we will ask them to work from their home office. The product specialists, they work directly with our actual retail channel partners, and they help educate those individuals in retail about what it is that makes UA's products so unique, so special, and how the end customer can get the most out of those products, so that when we're not on the floor there to help sell our gear, that they can really answer those questions with competence and pride. So we want you to really take a look at Universal Audio as a whole and really think about what your passions for pro audio, for music, where that intersection between what you want to do professionally and connecting that to your hobby passions, where that may intersect for you. So now what I wanted to do was go a little bit deeper into speaking to each of you uniquely. Some of these tips that we've created a list around are industry-wide. You could apply them to any company, any market, any job opportunity. And then some I'll highlight as being really specific to universal audio. You've heard a lot about networking. It goes back to the old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so I'm a huge believer in getting out there and meeting people of like mind. It might start with your friend circle. LinkedIn is absolutely a tool that I recommend that you start to engage in. I would love to be just inundated with LinkedIn Connect requests from all of you. But it's a great way to learn not only about which companies are hiring, it's a great way to start interacting with people that are in the space of audio, music that you want to get into. And by reaching out and just introducing yourself, a lot of times that can lead to building those professional relationships that ultimately might pop up where they say, we have the perfect job and I thought about you because you shared X with me. So I definitely encourage you to really think about building that community and starting with the organization of WHAM and starting with tools like LinkedIn. I also encourage you, as we get back into a new normal and we go back to live events, to come up and introduce yourself to us at those events. Ask employees what they do for the company. Ask them how they got started. Ask them about some of the challenges or some of those different paths that they had to go through to get to the job that they have today. It's just really powerful to be able to learn from one another. As we look more uniquely at each of you, the one tool that still has so much power today is the resume. And I think about it as your marketing tool. You've gotten a lot of really great advice already today, but a couple things to add to that are, I've sat with my hiring managers and gone through resumes, and many times we may post an opportunity where we literally only have 1 or 2 positions that we need to fill, but we get hundreds of applicants that show interest. And I've seen managers literally scan for that list of hobbies, and they want to see your passion for whether you've been an instrumentalist, a vocalist, that you're in a band, that you are excited about pro audio technology. They want to be able to see that connection. So I started thinking about, is there an easy tip I could offer to all of you that might really help you and your resume stand out in that crowd? And I started thinking about the objective statement. Sometimes people call that the mission statement. I highly encourage you to call out the employer you're applying to. Call out the position or the list of titles you're really, really excited about exploring. And briefly, in a couple sentences, share with that end resume reviewer why or how music and audio has changed your life. And I think by just really speaking to the person reading your resume, that will absolutely answer that question for them, so that when they see all of the skills, knowledge, capabilities that you bring to the table and that intersection to why you'd like to be considered by Universal Audio, why you would like to be considered for a specific job, it all connects for them. That then leads to the exciting part, which is a chance to have a conversation. And that's really the interview process. This is specific advice to Universal Audio, although I do think it's applicable to many of the companies I've recruited for, as well as possibly Shure and Dolby. Being authentic, really knowing what you know and being open to all the areas where you still need to grow is power. It's the ability to communicate to the people you're interacting with where you believe your skills could be very valuable in helping that company go to the next level, but also demonstrates that you know that you're going to be spending the rest of your career learning. And it just opens up that conversation about what I really have been thinking a lot about, which is, what does it really mean to innovate? So if you think about innovation, typically true innovation comes out of not having a solution to a problem or not having a technical resource that you can rely on to solve X, whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And what I've learned throughout my career, but definitely in the halls of Universal Audio, is that in order to collaborate and in order to have these discussions, people have to be really self-aware. They have to be authentic. They have to be open and courageous to throwing out crazy ideas and experimenting with other employees, so that through the moments of experimentation and many times failure, all of a sudden you have this epiphany and it becomes the actual solution. And that's really the only way we innovate in this world. So being able to demonstrate those skills in an interview is really important to us. And as we wrap up the discussion today and turn into more the Q&A portion of our conversation, the team and I were talking a lot, and because Universal Audio is a smaller company, many times we are very opportunistic about how we hire. We'll look at resumes, we'll look at cover letters, we'll read for the intersection between what it is you want to do and your passion for music and audio and sound. And idealistically, we've put out to the world through a job description that we're looking for a certain academic profile or a certain years, a number of years of experience. But at the end of the day, we're really looking for your energy and your motivation and your drive to get things done and your willingness to learn from others and your willingness to collaborate with other people. And so I just want to encourage you to apply. If you're ever on the fence and you're looking at that job description and you don't meet all of the criteria listed, but you really want that job, I say go for it. Throw your resume into the queue. We have many different examples where we thought we needed a seasoned expert to come and join the team, and we ended up hiring people straight out of college with limited to no experience. But there was just something genuine that came out of their resume and their ability to articulate their passion that made us say, you know what, let's take that risk and let's have this person join us. And many of those people are some of these individuals who've hit their 10 and 15 and 20-year anniversaries with us. The best way to keep your eye on what we're hiring for is to continuously look at our careers page, which you can find at uaudio.com/careers. With the pandemic, we have definitely gone back to more a traditional approach to critical hiring in stages. So you may not see a laundry list of opportunities, but I can promise you I'm probably updating that careers page at least once a week at minimum. So we are definitely excited to hear from you. And now what I wanted to do was turn it over to all of you. We really want to have an opportunity to talk with you and answer your questions and go a little bit deeper into what matters most to you. So looking forward to talking, and thank you so much for your time.
That was great, Laura.
Thanks,
Over,
Terry.
and I'm telling you, Jill is killing it in the chat.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, she's amazing.
I'm like, wow, all the questions are answered.
Fantastic.
Somebody just, I think she answered, you may want to weigh on, I think there's folks that are interested in the product specialist position. So Jill was answering about the type of experience that you're looking for. I'm just gonna, I was inspired by what you said, and I'm gonna just tap into, obviously, if my dream job was at UA, I would for sure be using Luna and their plugins right now. Right? I mean, that's just like a duh. Like, if you want to be a product specialist, then you should be like a badass in their products. So that's just, that would be step one.
Well, one thing, Terry, that actually is really amazing about what you just shared, and it's something we talk about all the time. So because we've always gone to the extreme on surprising and delighting our customers and building product solutions that they may not even be expecting us to deliver, we realize that not everybody has the opportunity to actually consume our products or be in a studio that has bought our products. So we're just as fascinated with the conversation around the competitive market and, you know, who's producing what plugins, or what DAWs have you used, or what audio interfaces have you experienced, and having opinions about those technologies, what you love, what you would change. That is very powerful, and it comes up even in my interviews with candidates. I'm always the first person to talk to every candidate, and I'll ask them about those questions. Many of them are gifted to me by the interview teams. But we want to know, what do you know about this world? And product specialists, to your point, you know, they live and breathe the world of pro audio technology. So they really do kind of need to know the gamut, so that when they work with our retail channel partners, they can really get down to the what differentiates UA? Why would someone want to invest in buying our product versus the competition? And then I would love to turn it over to Jill, because that is a product category where we have international opportunities. She's been with us for about 5.5, 6 years. So she definitely has a lot more legacy on the type of people we've hired. But Jill, do you mind sharing a few thoughts?
Sure, no problem.
Awesome.
Just want to add that UA wants to be the way people are making music. And with an eye on craftsmanship, we want to be sure that we're putting out instant classics. So absolutely specific to the product specialist roles. If you know about audio recording, if you've been in a studio, if you know what the needs are for engineers and producers and artists, both in studio and at our home studios, because we have desktop products as well, then, which by the way are perfect with this shelter in place situation, more people are making music and being creative and using it as outlets. So it's like what Shure and before, we're looking for people who are passionate. We're looking for people who are not following that traditional line. I mean, there was conversation on the side during some of the presentations about it's so rare to find someone who knows what they want to be when they grow up and are razor focused on being and doing that. And congratulations to those that are, but I know I personally was a marine biology major before I ended up in, HR and doing this. So just being passionate, being brave to ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. It's only disappointing if you don't ask, because it could help others learn and help others to gather more information and to make different decisions and to know what would help people to bring the art of music to the world. Hopefully that helped.
Well, it was a great segue to somebody's being bold and asking a question. So they wanted to know, what do you look for skill-wise in your DSP or embedded engineering positions, and do you hire new grads for these kinds of positions?
So I'd love to see Alan take that question and run with it. He, again, is our head of engineering. But Alan, do you mind taking it away?
Of course. Hey, everyone. Yes, we do hire new grads. Actually, we have a current student who is working for us in that very specific role right now. So we do take current students for internships, current students for non-internships, part-time, and we definitely take new grads. The sorts of expertise we're looking for is definitely low-level DSP programming there, which is typically C, and low-level, maybe some of the low-level assembly. But any experience in the low-level circuit modeling, analog expertise, and everything down there.
Super.
And we typically are always looking for many expertise types, including this, because even though we might not be hiring specific positions at a given time, I think at UA we definitely understand that the right people are more important than the right role. And so we look for the people that we really want to work with and want to give input back to us. And we try and make it work anytime. So even if there are not specific positions that we're hiring for, we're always looking for the right people.
One of the things that I'd love
before, oops, sorry, Laura. I just
go for it, Joe.
Reiterate what I believe you said before was we can be very opportunistic. So if the right kind of candidate comes around, expressing the interest, whether we're interacting with them at events, it's like, oh, this is a great employee or great potential to add to our team. How do we make room for them? And absolutely, it's been done. And sometimes it even changes the course of the way we're looking at our business.
And then I just wanted to throw in an additional thought. I've actually sat down with many of our engineering leaders who are looking at that DSP talent. And again, that key differentiator, and you've heard it from Shure, you heard it from Dolby, you're going to hear it from UA throughout this whole Q&A, is express in the content of your resume, not just assume that the cover letter will handle it for you, that passion for audio, sound, and music. There's a lot of extraordinary DSP talent in the world today. But when we're looking at those resumes, the bias of the hiring manager is, where's that intersection? You know, they could do DSP work for all these different markets. Like why pro audio? And so by actually just calling that out and having it just so blatantly obvious in the content of the resume, it becomes power. And your resume just all of a sudden, to Jill's point, it pops up to the top and the guys are like, I want to talk to this person. I want to talk to this person. So I definitely can't stress that enough to the audience today, is that's how you differentiate yourself if you're applying to a pro audio company.
That's great. I was going to ask if there were training opportunities, because that came up over here, within the company for folks that maybe don't have the technical expertise that might be able to pick up some of that technical.
Well, I'm going to start answering this one and then have Alan and Jill on standby to add to it. So one of the things that makes Universal Audio to me really exceptional is we're smaller. We're, like I've said, an intimate company, even though we are global. And so when we hire, what we usually try to do is hire people into jobs where they can have training that then leads to impact. So many times if I was talking to someone and they had limited to no experience, I'd encourage them to consider roles where they can come in and learn and also give back at the same time. So like customer support, possibly joining our sales team, our product specialist roles, and then advance from there and become more technically competent. Being a smaller company, when we hire, we have to be kind of finding that nice balance between passion and the ability to learn quickly. So I'm going to turn it now over to Alan and Jill to go a little bit more deeper into how we've set up those type of training programs, but just wanted to kind of highlight that that's sometimes the best way to get your foot in the door, and to look at all the kind of, again, non-traditional engineering roles as, again, opportunities to come in, learn about our products as an end user and grow from there.
Well, I don't know whether I'll just say a couple of things on this before Jill chimes in. So I think one of the things we do have is we do have some of the world's leading experts in particular disciplines. We have the world's best analog designer, probably. We have one of, several of the world's best algorithm and DSP engineers. And that is across the board. That's not just engineering. We have these people across all disciplines in the company. And so that comes at a benefit to us, but it also means that when people come in, they can move around, they can increase, they can learn from the team. We typically, as Laura said, look for people that we can learn from, but it works both ways. And we have a lot of people that move from, customer service through to engineering. We have people that move around the company. So there's a big emphasis on learning and increasing and creativity within the organization. And because we're a small company, and actually because the majority of our staff are in one location, although we're global, it is a very intimate and very easy to see what other people are doing and get involved in other things. We don't have conversations that are limited to groups of people. We take everybody's input.
All I will add is that we've focused a lot more on having active activities that allow learning and sharing, because we have employees that have so much experience and so much passion for what they do. They just are busting to share it. So we started almost 2 years ago now, probably, what we call Blue Stripe sessions. And those are regular opportunities for employees to come and listen to others speak about music creation. We had a looper demonstration one time. We've had employees come in and talk about our products, because not all of us are musicians and are only learning about the recording industry and the music industry, music technology industry as they grow with UA. So being able to learn about our products, and we have an educational reimbursement program. We send people to trainings as they need it. When employees have raised their hand or shown potential or interest in progressing in their careers, we've kind of detailed out what kinds of trainings or classes would benefit them to get them where they need, and then we support that. growth and that development in their career. So there's a lot of movement. Laura mentioned in her presentation that our customer support team and oftentimes our marketing team have avenues for points of entry, QA as well. And so many of our employees have grown and moved from role to role within the company as they strengthen their expertise in the music technology industry when they're finishing their education or what have you, and then they're moving from maybe CS to QA or we've had some that move from marketing to product management. So there's absolutely the fostering of people and their passions and their abilities, and helping to support that in any way we can.
That's great. I think we're about on the end of our time here. Is there anything that you'd like to say to wrap up? I want to thank all of you from UA for joining us. I just want you to know that I have been on Luna. So
that's fantastic, Terry.
And teach an old dog new tricks. So I'm on there. It's awesome. So
well, Terry, I know that you're going to be sharing our contact information.
Yeah,
I do encourage people to connect with us on LinkedIn. And again, thank you everyone for participating. We're really excited to have met all of you.